Welcome to Headline Hub. Updates, subscribe, and press the bell icon for more updates. Along the Thai-Cambodian border, tension hangs as heavy as the jungle air, thick and stifling, pressing down on every living thing. The landscape, lush and green, hides secrets and scars from past conflicts. And now, once again, uncertainty looms. News headlines in Bangkok and Phnom Penh tell conflicting stories. Military buildup, failed diplomacy, rising nationalism. Each side accuses the other, fueling suspicion and fear, while the media amplifies every rumor and official statement. On the ground, the rumble of engines and the sight of troops moving into position make the threat of conflict real. Soldiers dig in, eyes alert, as armored vehicles roll past villages that have seen too many such convoys before. Once busy markets are now silent. Shopkeepers packing up, eyes on the hills where soldiers gather. The air is thick with worry, and the usual chatter of trade has been replaced by anxious whispers. The sense of an impending storm is everywhere. Even the weather seems to echo the mood, ominous clouds gathering, casting long shadows over the land. Every statement, every troop movement feels like a step closer to war. Each maneuver is watched, analyzed, and met with a response, as if the border itself is holding its breath. In border villages, daily life is upended. Farmers stay home, children kept from school, laughter replaced by the sounds of drills and distant artillery. Families huddle indoors, uncertain what tomorrow will bring. Fear is a constant companion, dividing communities that once shared customs and bloodlines. Old friendships are strained, and neighbors eye each other with suspicion, unsure of what side they will be forced to choose. International calls for restraint feel distant and ineffective here. The voices of diplomats and world leaders echo faintly, drowned out by the reality on the ground. The reality is steel and gunpowder, soldiers staring each other down across an invisible line. The tension is palpable, every gesture loaded with meaning. The question is simple and terrifying. Will diplomacy hold, or will the storm break? The answer could change countless lives in an instant. For those living here, the answer means everything. Their futures, their families, and their homes hang in the balance, waiting for a decision made far from their fields and villages. The world watches, breath held, as the slow-burning fuse inches toward the powder keg. Every update is scrutinized, every development feared. The border is a place of waiting for peace or for the first shot. The clock is ticking, and with every passing moment, the stakes grow higher for everyone caught in the shadow of this looming crisis. Deep in the dense jungle, the standoff is intensely personal. Thai and Cambodian soldiers, sometimes just meters apart, watch each other with wary, unblinking eyes. The thick foliage offers little comfort, only shadows and uncertainty. These are young men, barely out of their teens, not faceless enemies, but individuals with dreams and families, caught in a struggle they never asked for and can barely understand. Every gesture, every glance is loaded with tension. One wrong move, one misunderstood signal could ignite disaster and plunge the region into chaos. Military convoys thunder through once quiet villages, tanks shaking the ground and transforming familiar roads into potential front lines. The sound of engines and the sight of armored vehicles are constant reminders of looming conflict. For the soldiers, it's a mission they must complete. For the villagers, it's a nightmare that invades their homes and upends their lives. Fear is everywhere, in the eyes of elders who remember past wars, in the stories they share of loss, survival, and the scars left behind by violence. Soldiers write home, trying to sound brave for their families, but uncertainty and longing seep through every word, every call. Villagers quietly pack emergency bags, keeping them close, ready to flee at a moment's notice if the situation worsens. Escape routes are mapped through the tangled jungle, secret trails known only to locals, just in case the worst happens. The local economy has collapsed. Fields lie untended, crops wither, and markets that once bustled with life now stand empty and silent. Life is on hold, suspended between hope and dread, as families wait for news, for peace, for any sign of normalcy returning. Even before a single shot is fired, the mere presence of soldiers and tanks has shattered the fragile peace that once held this place together. The familiar rhythms of daily life are gone, replaced by anxious waiting and the constant fear of what might come next. The border itself has become a place of fear and uncertainty, where everyone wonders what tomorrow will bring and whether they will be safe. The cost of this standoff is already painfully clear. Lives disrupted, communities fractured, and a peace that feels more distant with every passing day. At the heart of the conflict stands Preah Vihear Temple, an ancient sanctuary perched atop a cliff. For Cambodia, it's a symbol of Khmer heritage. For Thailand, it's a site of deep historical significance. Colonial-era borders left its ownership ambiguous, fueling decades of dispute. In 1962, the International Court of Justice awarded the temple to Cambodia, but the surrounding land remains contested. The issue is more than territory. It's about identity and national pride. Politicians on both sides have used the temple to stoke nationalism, turning history into a political weapon. The 2008 UNESCO World Heritage listing reignited tensions, collapsing relations and fueling new clashes. The ancient stones of Preah Vihear now witness a modern conflict, shaped by old wounds and new ambitions. The border's tension is haunted by recent violence. In 2011, fighting erupted near Preah Vihear, artillery, rockets, and mortars turning villages into battlefields. Civilians fled by the tens of thousands, homes destroyed, lives upended overnight. The psychological scars run deep. Children traumatized, families separated, trust shattered. International pressure brought a fragile ceasefire, but the cycle of conflict and calm continues. ASEAN and the UN intervened, but nationalist pride often overpowers calls for peace. The 2011 clashes proved that old grievances can still push both nations to the brink. Physical wounds may heal, but mistrust lingers in border communities. The memory of violence makes today's military buildup even more frightening. The lesson is clear. Without a lasting solution, the cycle of suffering will repeat. Thailand holds a clear military advantage: larger forces, modern tanks, advanced fighter jets, and a powerful navy. Decades of military investment and training, often with US support, have made Thailand's armed forces formidable. Cambodia's military is smaller, with older equipment and limited air and naval power. Yet, numbers and hardware aren't everything. Cambodian troops are resilient, experienced in jungle warfare, and fiercely motivated to defend their homeland. In the dense border terrain, asymmetric tactics could level the playing field. The real power lies not just in weapons, but in the will to fight. Any conflict would be costly for both sides, regardless of military strength. Today's conflict isn't just fought with guns, it's waged in cyberspace. Both Thailand and Cambodia are building cyber warfare capabilities, targeting infrastructure, communications, and public morale. Thailand's advanced digital systems are both a strength and a vulnerability. Cambodia, with fewer resources, can still use cyber tactics and disinformation to disrupt and confuse. A single cyber attack could cripple cities, banking systems, or spread panic. The digital battlefield blurs the line between civilian and military targets. As armies prepare on the ground, hackers prepare online. The next war could begin with a blackout, not a gunshot. The greatest cost of war is always human. A new conflict would unleash a flood of refugees, families fleeing with nothing, communities shattered overnight. Humanitarian organizations would be overwhelmed, and trauma would scar a generation. Children would grow up with fear, families torn apart, and trust destroyed. The border region's economy would collapse, but the damage would spread. Investors and tourists would vanish, budgets drained by war. Years of progress would be lost in days. Even a military victory would bring ruin. Lives lost, economies broken, societies divided. Infrastructure can be rebuilt, but lost lives and trauma endure. Hatred sown by war can poison relations for generations. There are no winners, only survivors. The true price of war is paid by ordinary people who want only peace. This is the reality both nations face. Amid the threats of war, diplomacy is the only real path forward. Leaders must rise above nationalist pressures and choose negotiation over confrontation. ASEAN's role is crucial, offering neutral ground, mediating talks, and helping both sides save face. Creative compromises are needed: demilitarized zones, joint development, or honoring international rulings. Peace requires leaders to persuade their people that cooperation is worth more than contested land. True peace is built on justice, respect, and shared prosperity. It's a slow, difficult process. Education, cultural exchange, and economic integration are key. The diplomatic path lacks drama, but it's the only way to a future without fear. The world is watching, hoping for wisdom over war. The choice is difficult, but the alternative is disaster. The final decision rests with the leaders of Thailand and Cambodia, who now stand at a historic crossroads. Their actions will echo for generations, shaping the destiny of their nations and the entire region. War is the easy path. Destruction, poverty, and hatred are its legacy. It leaves behind broken families, shattered dreams, and scars that last for decades. The machinery of conflict is ready, waiting for a single command. But the wisest choice is restraint, to hold back when anger and fear demand action. True strength lies in choosing dialogue over battle, peace over pride. It takes courage to sit at the table and seek understanding, even when tensions run high. The world urges restraint, knowing a war here would destabilize all Southeast Asia. Neighboring countries and global leaders watch closely, hoping for wisdom to prevail. The stakes are high, not just for border communities, but for the region's future. Every decision made now will affect the lives of countless families, children, and generations yet to come. The real power belongs to those who build peace, not those who wage war. It is the peacemakers who are remembered for their vision and compassion. Now is the moment to choose cooperation over confrontation, to reach out a hand instead of raising a fist. Turn the tanks around, bring soldiers home, and transform the border into a place of hope, where people can live, trade, and dream together. The lives of millions depend on this choice. Their futures hang in the balance, waiting for a decision that could bring either peace or pain. Peace is not just a hope, it's an urgent necessity, a responsibility that cannot be ignored any longer. The time to choose is now. The world is watching, and history will remember what happens next.